Hey y'all, let's save some tomato seeds. This is a Moonlight Mild tomato, very, very ripened. I let mine ripen almost to the point of rotting. When I save seeds, I isolate these tomatoes, meaning when the little stem pops out with the flowers just starting. I take one of these little bags, I stick it down over the stem with the flowers, and I pull it tight. And I leave this on there until the tomatoes form, and then I take it back off. That way I know that the seed or the flower blooms that I have isolated are for sure not cross-pollinated with any other tomato I have outside. So I just finished rinsing these off. These have been soaking for about 4 days. This is another Moonlight Mile from the same cluster. So when you go to save seeds, you want to cut into the tomato, but don't cut too deep. That way you don't risk damaging your seeds. There we go. Just kind of, pry it apart with your hands. Oh, look at that. Bunches of seeds. I just use little cups. I write the name, usually the date. Spoon. Spoon them in there. Now, the only ones I save seeds for are the ones that I'm going to trade with others. I'm in a few seed swapping groups, and I don't want to risk saving seeds and not isolating those tomatoes and then being pollinated with something else. So I usually save probably, I don't know, I'd say two or three tomatoes from each plant. Not sure there's not any more in here. Oh yeah. Okay. Like I said, I let mine ripen almost to the point of rotting. That way I know for certain these seeds are ready to be saved. Ooh. That it? I think that's it. Okay. Wash my hands. So we're going to take our little cup of goodies, and I'm just going to add some water. About that much. And every day, probably 3 or 4 times a day, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to shake this cup to try to help loosen the gel on these seeds, to get them free of their casing. In the meantime, I just use a coffee filter because I don't want anything getting in this cup. And a rubber band. And I set it aside. this outside in a minute. Now these have been sitting for, I'm gonna say about 5 days. This was a huge tomato. Hazel May. Here's what we're gonna do. I sit my strainer right there because that holds it in place. And some water to make sure I get all the seeds out. That's a lot of seeds from one tomato. Wow. Okay. Okay. I got as much of the gel out as I could. I'm going to take this plastic top. I always use plastic because the seeds will not stick to it. You can use a paper towel, coffee filter, or something like that, or even just a regular plate, but your seeds are going to stick to those. They will not stick to plastic. One go. I just kind of slam it down and they all come out. Then you want to take your finger, clean of course, and try to spread these out as much as you can. My fingernails. This one's a little harder to spread because there are so many of them. I'm going to grab a second lid and put some of these on a different lid. Oh, I can get these spread out now. So many seeds. I don't think I've ever had this many seeds from one tomato. I might actually need to grab a fork to do this with. Anyway, spread them out as best you can. This is going to take me a while, so I'm not going to sit here and record it. But I'll come back and show you when I get them all spread out. Okay, I got them spread out as best as I can. I'm truly amazed. I've never had this many seeds from one tomato. So what I'm going to do is I'll sit these somewhere cool where they'll get a lot of wind or air, you know, so they can dry out for at least 7 days. They're going to stay on this for at least 7 days. That ensures they're completely dry. And in a dark place, preferably. Just make sure they can get air. You want them good and dried out before you put it. You really shouldn't use plastic, but it's all I have. So, but you want to make sure these are completely dry before you put them in there, or they will mold, and then they're destroyed, and all your work is gone. So, this one, and that's all you have to do. You can leave the seeds in the cup of water for up to 7 days. It really depends on the temperature in your house. If it's really hot, really humid, you probably don't want to do that. About 4 days is good enough. Just make sure you get, you can see that they're no longer encased in that gel that keeps them from sprouting, because we want these to sprout the next time they come out of their little bag. And there you go. That's how you save seeds. See y'all later.